Business is more than grinding to get it done. It's people, process, and payroll done right. It's protecting your team, leveraging every penny out of every dollar to build and grow. From HR to insurance, from strategy to scale. We give you the playbook so you don't have to figure it out the hard way. This is the PEO Playbook, hosted by Chad Philly with Staff Brokers Inc. Get valuable insights and learn to grow your team without HR headaches. Let's get started.
All right, welcome back to today's episode of the PEO Playbook. I am Chad Philly with Staff Brokers. You can reach us at peoplaybook.com with any questions or things that come up with. There's things that we may spark in your memory. We're here to talk about everything PEO from a outsourcing payroll, work comp, human resources benefits. Today we have with us Greg Winters. He is the general manager for Loco Graphics, a local sign company here in Ocala, doing graphics and vehicle wraps and all that kind of stuff. And we just kind of want to talk to them about their experience with PEO. So let's kind of start off with, how did you guys end up in a PEO to start with?
Well, Chad, actually, we were kind of honestly force-fed, needing to go out and do some research to find a company that could work with us. Unfortunately, at many companies, you don't ever want a claim, but unfortunately, those do happen. And about 2.5 years ago, we had a claim within our company. Our current provider, of course, covered the claim, but shortly thereafter decided they wanted to drop us, and they did. So we had to go out and do some farming, kind of shop it a little bit and find out what was out there. You come to mind, of course, Chad. So we got partnered up with Staff Brokers, and it's just been a really great partnership ever since. And you found us a good rate and just afforded us the opportunity to kind of get out from insuring ourselves and get with a PEO that could help us with our needs.
So I know before you guys came into PEO, I think you had an accountant or somebody doing payroll and you had work comp separate.
Exactly. Yeah, we kind of had our hands full. We had a minimal HR department at best. We had a payroll company on one hand. We had a self-insured, and I could say we found a company that could insure us workers' comp and things like that. So it was definitely not all under one roof, and it was time-consuming to say the least.
And so has being, coming into PEO, has that changed and simplified? How's that changed the way that you're operating and running that side of things?
Yeah, very much so. Actually, the simplicity of working with a PEO has just been uncalculable almost, really, because everything's all under one roof and it's so accessible and so user friendly, and everything's kind of handled for you. So really all you have to do is submit payroll and everything else just kind of handles itself. And the lack of not having to go out and try to find if you're compliant or not compliant with the rules and regulations that govern so is again just so pleasing to know that you've got a hand that can help you with all those things.
So I was going to ask what you were facing, challenges you were facing, and you were challenging work comp incident, and that's kind of what got you to the PEO scenario.
Right.
What about using PEO where has it freed up time for you?
I'd say the biggest thing that's freed up is just, again, knowing if you're compliant or not, and just the comfort that comes from knowing that you're with a group and organization that, this is all they do. They focus on this, which allows us the time to focus on what we do best, and that is, produce wraps and signs. So just the flexibility and the freedom that being under one roof with a provider that can do it all, whether it be compliance issues, whether it be quarterly reports, whether it be end of year numbers, whether it be a personnel or a payroll problem or question that you have, just having someone there as a right hand that can handle all that for you it's just been amazing.
You're kind of touching on all my questions here. I'm having to come up with some stuff. Can you share an example? Obviously, you can't name names of a complex HR issue that you may have run into potentially where the PEO has been able to help you out. Obviously, keep everybody's names out of this.
Sure. Yeah. And, unfortunately, again, when you run a business, turnover happens. None of us want it, but unfortunately it does. And sometimes, depending on how you handle that turnover, it can be complex, and sometimes employees, depending on whether they leave on their own or whether, unfortunately, you have to let an employee go. Sometimes there's some frustration that comes along with that. And many times, some employees, they do push back a little bit, and you really don't know if you're compliant or not compliant, and they hit you sometimes with questions that you may or may not know the answer to. So having HR that you can call on, rely on, just minutes away or one email away to answer those questions and relieve that stress and heartache off of you is, again, it's an amazing feeling to have someone that's so accessible that's quickly right there at your side to be able to help you with those concerns.
If you had to stop using PEO tomorrow, what would you miss the most? Not your hair.
Yeah, not my hair. The simplicity, it's just so easy and so accessible when you deal with a PEO. The staff is amazing. They're literally one phone call away or one email away. And oftentimes when you have questions that you need answers to, you're not waiting hours to get the answers. Literally, I've had questions answered in just minutes from the staff. And that in itself is just so helpful. Again, it just allows me and the staff to kind of do what we do best and focus on our jobs while you focus on yours.
What would you say to another sign company if they were considering PEO? A lot of construction, there can be tremendous cost savings from a work comp point of view because of the buying power of the PEO industry. Sign stuff is a little bit on the lower side from a work comp point of view, but what recommendations to other sign companies, would entice them to think that, PEO might be something that's a great fit for them?
Sure. I would just say that it's really a no-brainer. It really will afford you the opportunity to kind of free up a lot of your man hours to really focus on continued growth of the company, continue to really focus on the numbers of it within your company to ensure that you're making the right decisions on a daily basis. But more than anything, just the simplicity of it all. Again, I know I keep going back to that, but I think before I was with a PEO, I had just no idea how much free time it would afford me being on staff with a PEO, and how much free time it's given me now to focus on the things that I need to focus on best. I mean, if you own a sign company, run a sign company, focus on what you do best, make signs, and let PEO take care of everything else.
Engage with the employees,
sure,
be able
absolutely.
to help with them and make sure they're on task and keep things going rather than being tied up with the everyday stuff that goes on.
Sure.
All right. That is it for today's edition of PEO Playbook. Again, reach out to us at PEOplaybook.com. Again, Greg, thank you for being here.
Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you being here and sharing your experience with PEO and how it's helped you and the gang over at Loco Graphics. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next podcast. Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in to the PEO Playbook, where we help business owners unlock the power of PEOs and take their team to the next level. This episode was proudly brought to you by Legacy Sales Engineering. If you're ready to simplify HR, scale your business, and put the right team behind you, visit staffbroker.net to get started with Staff Brokers today.